Tell me about yourself and what got you interested in fantasy and role-playing games.
My name is Erik. I play Intha, the Tiefling Bard in Icosacasts. I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons for 6 or 7 years. What simply got me into the game was a group of friends in college invited me to come play in their group off of campus. I had never played Dungeons and Dragons before or even done very much in terms of fantasy setting, anything up until that point. I went in, took a shot at it, got some subs, had some pizza, it's a typical D&D thing, and ended up having a great time. And I went every week for the next 6 or 7 years.
All right, awesome. So who or what are some of your biggest influences?
Again, my fantasy influence is so small. I didn't read Lord of the Rings growing up. I think I may have watched Star Wars one time, so I didn't know what an orc or a goblin or any of that stuff was when I came in, so I really just kind of came out swinging and took from whatever minor video game influences I had, whether it be old games on the N64 or what I knew about dragons from history books.
All right,
that
awesome.
sort of deal.
All right, so bringing it back to how long have you been playing D&D and what is your favorite thing about it? You mentioned you've been playing for about 6 or 7 years.
Yes, and the thing that I love about D&D, the thing I love about it the most, that it could never be replaced by any sort of video game or even really a board game, is that the absolute freedom to do what you want and the limitations being only given by the dungeon master and the player as a team, really, it's just incredible. Because say you're speaking to someone. In a video game, you may have the red option for bad or the blue option for good. You might have, this is the rude thing to say, this is the nice thing to say. Steal from them or kill them or whatever. You don't really have very many options compared to what somebody would have in a Dungeons and Dragons situation, where you absolutely could try to, say, tie their shoelaces together and get them to trip. Or you absolutely could, I don't know, try to steal headlights off somebody else in the bar and put them onto
So
their
options
hair.
are endless.
It really comes down to what you want to do, and pretty much anything you want to do, there's going to be a way to do it.
All right, cool. If you had an opportunity to convince somebody to play that never has, what would you say?
I would say with almost certainty, you can do what you want, and it comes down to how are you going to do it. It's a game where you can be whatever you want to be and do just about anything you want to do. The world is purely fantasy, and the only thing stopping you from doing what you want is how good your imagination and creativity is.
Okay, cool.
It really supports and rewards people who can use their imaginations and creativity to a high degree.
Awesome. So who did you play in Campaign 1, and what was your class, race, and role, and why?
In Campaign 1, I came in towards the end as a sort of a guest player, and I played Sir Lautrec of House of Ithaca, who was originally came from the setting of Greyhawk in another gaming system, which was fun. We did some work to get them in there for the last bit. He was a human fighter, lawful evil, very basic, but again, he was the first character I ever made. He's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very functional as a tank, and I played a tank when I first made him because in pretty much every multiplayer game that I ever played, I played a tank because that always seems to be something that was needed, and it was kind of nice to not have to stress about having a small amount of hit points to be managed. I just enjoyed playing him very, very much, and he was a very good time.
All right, sounds good. So bringing it back to what was your favorite moment from the first campaign and why?
In the first campaign, there was a scene where Tony's character, whose name escapes me, was meeting with Lautrec one of the first or second time, and he elected to be stabbed in the chest and stomach area with Lautric's ego weapon, an infernal longsword, to try to influence his behavior and path through life. And it turns out that with his decision, he actually removed this enchanted sand from his body, and it ended up being a negative event with his deity, which was really funny to me, honestly, and Lautric also found it absolutely hilarious. But I don't know, it was a good time for me anyway.
Alright, so what are your hopes for your current character in comparison to the first campaign?
Intha is, in a lot of ways, the opposite of Lautric. Intha is a spellcaster, something I have never played in the history of playing Dungeons & Dragons. The first time I ever cast a spell was with Intha in the entire time that I've played. He's not at all a bulky guy. He's not tanky. He didn't come from any sort of nobility. But he's out to prove himself, and I'm excited to see where his story is going to take him.
Alright, cool. And now, do you feel as though it's a big commitment playing D&D regularly? And was it difficult to jump into?
I don't think it's that big of a commitment, any more so than, say, if your group of friends likes to go out for drinks on a Friday, or watch football together, or watch WWE, or anything really. Go have a barbecue, I don't know, anything like that. It's really no different, and you can do pretty much any of those things while playing D&D anyway, truthfully.
Alright, awesome. Well, thanks, Erik. I think that wraps it up here, and we'll see who's next.